Please help me giving a warm welcome to Mark Montgomery.
As Colin said, I have been out of the speaking game for a minute, and he's allowing me to take our theme and twist it a little. So the theme is invest, and as an investor, I'll give you the quick tip and we'll be done with it. Timing and team. As an investor, that's all I care about. Your performer is going to be wrong, and usually in the wrong direction, and your financing is probably not material unless you have some stupid idiot in your stack. So don't take money from dumb people. It's way more painful than not taking money. So that's my investment speech for the day. So I'm going to flip it to a little bit of a different theme, which is bet on yourself. I just heard you just did that. How many people in here are willing to take a bet on themselves? Hands. If you're not, definitely go to work for someone else. If you are, and if you want that life, it's a rich life, it's also hard as hell. I haven't operated for 15 years. I made a conscious decision never to be in the operating chair again until recently, and it is kicking my ever-loving ass right now. And about every third day I wake up wishing I had not started something new, but here we are. So the best investment you can make is in you. And I'm going to give you just a series of 3 questions to ask yourself to come to some conclusions about decision-making for you going forward. And that simple decision-making matrix is based on this idea of how many days you have. So assuming I live to be 85 years old, I have 12,044 days left in my life. Simple calculation. Your age, average age of the human population lives to X times 365, and there's your number. In a minute, I'll tell you a little story about how that became so evident to me and so important to me. So I use a simple matrix for decision making. What do I love? What do I value? And what am I great at? What I love is really a question of what would I do for free? What would I get up every day and do because I love to do it? Not for money, but for me. For the love of self, for the love of community, for the love of whatever. And I'm going to walk you through my version of this here in a minute, just to give you an example, and then I hope you will take this and use it as a matrix for your own decision making. What do I value is about 2 things in my mind. The first is, if you're leading something, your values are the values of your business, right? If you're going to work for someone else, the values of who you're going to work for become yours. And if you've ever worked for somebody who's a weasel, or dishonest, or the opposite, note that you're giving them the most valuable thing you have, your time. And if you don't like the person, or the mission, or the people, leave. Leave tomorrow. Leave today. Right? You have a certain amount of time on the dirt ball. Right? Unless you're a Hindu, then you might have multiple times. Am I allowed to say that? And then lastly, what am I great at is about owning your power. It's really hard to say that you're great at something. But if you don't grab that and embrace it and you can't articulate it, how is anyone else going to know what you're great at? So I'm going to give you a little bit about me just so you have some context. And I'll start, I'm not going to go all the way back. I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin, go Packers. And as Colin alluded to, I have done a bunch of shit, including playing in a hair metal band. And in 1990, I moved to Nashville with $800 to be a guitar player. It was a really bad plan. I just didn't know it when I got here. And from there, I got involved in a bunch of different stuff. In 1993, back when we had 22 baud modems, I started building publicly facing websites. I taught myself to code. In 1995, I launched one of the first 5 e-commerce platforms selling music directly to consumers. And some of this comes back into play when I talk about what I'm great at. Then I built another company out of that. We ran the second largest database of music consumers in the world. We sold that in 2007. And for 2 years, I became the EVP of a multinational corporation, which I can assure you I was shitty at, because I don't belong reporting to people who don't understand what I do. And once I realized that, and I realized that I was wasting my time, I left. I made a switch to investor because, quite frankly, I don't like to operate. I really don't like people. I don't like customers, and I certainly don't like employees. So I stopped doing that because I just get tired of people whining all the time. And I moved to investor. I have investments in about 25 companies, and I am vertically agnostic. So I bet on team and I bet on timing. That's all I care about, right? So I'm in healthcare, and I'm in music, and I'm in blah, 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 blah. And those decisions that I make are largely based on looking the person in the eye that I'm talking to about their business and believing that they can get the deal into the end zone, right? People who win have no other choice. They have to win. So after that little soiree of building that company and selling it, then I went on to help a couple of other people sell companies. I helped start the Center for Entrepreneurship. If you walk in what was the old front door of the Center for Entrepreneurship, my name is on the floor in the first medallion because I wrote the first check. Now, I didn't write the biggest check. John Ingram wrote the biggest check, as he does often. Very recently, as a matter of fact. And that was really important work. Went on to do a couple other things. I started a company that started other companies. We started the fastest growing new company spirits launch in the history of liquor. Blah, 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 blah. It all sounds really lovely, and I'm very proud of those efforts. But I had a pretty dramatic thing happen to me at that point. I met a woman who got me divorced from my first wife. Divorce is expensive because it's worth it. And she changed my life. She gave me a daughter. She really gave me permission to be who I was. And then she died. She had cancer. And she left me with a 3-year-old. And I promised her that I was just going to be dad for a minute. And so I took my professional career and I killed everything I was doing. And I took a long nap, frankly. And I was as the best dad I could be, and certainly while I was not capable of being my daughter's mother, I tried to feather in the hole that had been punched in that little girl's universe. And this whole idea of what I love, what I value, and what I'm great at became much more important. When you watch someone expire in front of you, you realize how none of that other shit I just listed matters. Not one bit of it mattered. And it really gave me a lens to reconsider my life. So when I started back to doing some stuff, the first thing I started doing again was teaching. I teach at MTSU. I teach seniors in a class that's now called a minor in reality. You'll see it in a minute. But it's really a thinly veiled class on life and entrepreneurship and owning your power. And telling these kids that everything they're told is a lie. And that this whole thing is a game, right? The game I play is building shit and selling it to multinational corporations. I'm getting pretty good at it. I think I'll do it again here momentarily. But it's a game. So I have to ask the question for myself when I make a decision about what I'm going to get involved with. And you'll like my cool little animation. What do I love? This is my daughter. That's Maggie. Magnolia Grace Montgomery. And life goes on. I have a new woman in my life, Miranda Christie, who's an amazing human being who puts up with an enormous amount of shit from me. And my daughter, frankly, because if you haven't noticed, she's a redhead. So check the box, and then she's got me as a father, which she comes by honestly. And I just love having a daughter because it gives me an excuse to be completely immature at all times. With her and her friends, I love dogs. I'm a passionate dog trainer. Australian Shepherds are my preferred breed. This is one of my favorite dogs I've ever had, Einstein. One more picture of my daughter just because it's fun. And it's been becoming a dad has been the best thing I've ever done. And I was unwilling. I didn't become a father till I was 45. I'm 52 now. Friends are really important. Some of these people came to my rescue because when my wife died, I wanted to die. This young man, Reed Shippen, who is a motherfucker, producer and engineer, the day after she passed, every day for a year texted me and said, "Do you need anything? Is there anything you need?" You can't buy that. I love working with people. I love music. That is my Stratocaster with my blood on it. I still play. I got a lot better. I'm not Keith Urban, but I did get a lot better. I have this thing for water and the beach. I think that's going to be my last career. I don't really know what it is yet, but I am interested in water and what it means to the human population. And my daughter will kill me for this picture. But I had to do it. I love to teach. I get paid a jack shit to do this, and I get a ton of crap from the administration because I'm always afoul of their stupid fucking regulations. Right? But at the same time, I recognize that they have liability and blah, blah, blah. We talked about that. But watching these kids, watching the light come on for them is an amazing thing. And I've been doing this for 7 years. This is my 8th year. I've graduated about 135 kids. I have a lifetime guarantee on my class, so you're stuck with me if you take my class. And about half of them continue to stay engaged with me. I love the creative process. I'm a photographer, I'm a designer, I'm a musician. It's all creation to me. And having a young girl at home gives me lots of time to play with Legos and draw and just do cool shit. I love to start stuff, and that's the double entendre. It's been referenced that I will go into a room full of suits in a t-shirt and tell them all what everybody's thinking, but no one is willing to say. I've been invited in to advise every mayor in the city for the last 4 administrations and then promptly asked to leave because I say shit that no one thinks I'm going to say, obviously. And I love this city. I moved here in 1990 with $800, 2 pounds of weed and a kick drum, my drummer, and a girl who was wanted in 2 states. I didn't find that out till we got here. I didn't know anybody, and this city gave me my life. What do I value? So this is about taking a job working for someone else, if that's what you're going to do. If you work for someone, you want to know what they value. And if they don't value what you value, leave and start something else. Get out, because it's not going to end well, so don't wait. I waited 2 years. I didn't have the value systems of the corporation I worked for, and when I figured that out, I left. For me, there are no other things than these things. It's hard to, you can't really have more than 3 to 5 ideas that you can really consume. This is a little bit more than that. Some of these are related to each other. And then lastly, what am I great at? How many of you guys in here can give me 3 to 5 things you're great at? Hands. Who wants to shout a couple out? Team building. Cooking. Listening. Connecting. What else? Conceptual design. Very, very nice. Learning. Teaching. Awesome. So for me, I'm a cliff jumper. You tell me I can't do something, I'm going to go fucking do it just to prove you wrong. I think I'm a pretty good design thinker, and that's whether you have ever been in a place I've designed. I did a building with Manuel Zeitlin called Inc. We collaborated on that together. I'm a unicorn herder. If you're really fucking good and super weird, we're probably going to get along really well. And I probably have you in my Rolodex. If I don't, you're super weird and you're super cool and you're super smart, come see me. Because I'm always looking for that. Always. Seer around corners is a bit of a statement, right? But I have had a track record of seeing what's coming before it gets here. And when I started embracing that and when I started doing that work, things changed for me dramatically. And passionate evangelist is a great sort of cloaked word for sales guy, right? Who sells in here? Hands. Okay. So here's the difference between a salesman and what a passionate evangelist is, in my opinion. I only sell things I believe in, right? So I am not for hire from that perspective. I work on things that I think are important. And I've been lucky to be able to do that. So I was told that I should leave some time for questions.
Got a question right here.
Combination of unicorn herder and seer around corners really interests me because the more unique the personnel, the task, the idea, it would seem the more difficult it is to see around the corner. Mm-hmm. First off, what is your secret to seeing around the corner? And second, how do you do it when you're herding a bunch of unicorns?
That's one of the best questions I've ever had. I don't know how I see around corners. I have just, when we started selling music on the internet in 1995, which was physical CDs, to be clear. It wasn't downloads. You couldn't download anything on the public internet in 1995. I think it was just an obvious problem that I saw a solution to. And I remember we launched that platform. Probably no one in this room remembers a band called the Floating Men. Yeah, see, this is how fucking old I am now. You would have never heard of them. But these guys had a pretty big following. They had fallen out of a record deal, and we were trying to figure out what to do with them. And the internet had become, at the time, they were running ads, full-page ads in newspapers saying, remember the newspapers? Don't put your credit card information into the internet. It will get stolen. And we launched the e-com platform on April 20th, 1995 at midnight. And I sat there for 2 hours and watched the orders pour in. It was that moment where it started ticking and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then it became, oh my God, this is awesome. And then it became, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Right? And that defined the next 20 years of my career. So when I got hired to work for a $75 billion bank to help them with market strategy. Don't ask me how I got that job. I still don't know why they hired me, but it was looking around the corner. How do you take a completely commoditized, non-differentiatable, highly regulated commodity product and differentiate it? Well, I think we did. It's called Ruby. And Ruby is the first collaborative family banking platform for aging boomers and their parents, which allows for transparency in families around money as people move to the dirt nap, sorry. And I guess they liked it. They paid me a lot of money to do it. And it's off and running. So I don't know the answer. I just have an instinct. And then unicorn herding is mostly fun. Just because creative people are just really interesting, and they just really are not interested in the status quo, and I'm interested in not the status quo either. I hope that answers it. Hi.
So when you're talking to these young people about the truth of life, what is one related to that? What do you say to them about?
I tell them they have nothing to lose by taking a chance, by following their passion, by trusting their gut. Yeah. Nothing to lose.
I was curious, I'm not exactly sure how to phrase it, but I've had a lot of loss in my life, not as close in proximity. But I was curious if you have anything that stood out to help you moving forward with grief. If there was anything that like...
Therapy, tons of it. Drinking for a while. I was pretty pickled for the first 2 years. And as my therapist said, you got permission to be pickled for a minute. Not endangering me or my daughter, but when appropriate, medicating is okay. But I think for me, a lot of it was therapy. Yoga is huge for me. Playing music is meditative for me, getting in that moment. I had a group of friends come around me. Any of you guys Death Cab for Cutie fans? They made a record called Plans, which is a record about loss. And my friends got together with me and we remade that record for fun, and never did anything with it, just to make it to heal. And then, that little girl it's tough to be unhappy around her, because she really did save my life. If it wasn't for her, I would be dead. I would have killed myself, or I would have done it accidentally by wrapping myself around a tree or stepping in front of a bus or doing something stupid. So all I can tell you is, I don't know how recent it is, it does get better, but it never goes away. Sometimes I am flat on the fucking floor. There are times where I don't show up because I can't. I still can't. She's been gone 5 years, and I still can't. And I lost my mother 10 months after I lost my wife. And I was there and walked them both to the door and opened it for them, which I consider to be a tremendous honor. I was scared shitless to do it, but it was an amazing thing to watch. So you have to just step into it and embrace it, but it's not easy. God, I feel like I'm killing the buzz. The fucking death. Boo!
Can you talk about any time that you've applied these principles and something hasn't worked out exactly as you planned?
Oh God, yes. There's more of that than there is success. Failure has been my greatest teacher. It's the thing that's the hardest part of doing what I do, because the reality is that you're gonna be wrong. You're gonna make the wrong choice. You're gonna bring the wrong person in. You're gonna do a lot of wrong things. As long as none of those things are fatal, as long as none of those are big enough to knock you off of what you're doing, it's all part of the process. So I've learned to embrace it. Although I will tell you, this new company it's been the hardest thing I've ever done. Part of it's because I'm old, and I just don't have the tools I had the last time I did this. But I have new tools, and I'm better in some ways. And so what I try to do is I try to accept the fact that there are going to be days where I'm just going to walk away feeling like I have failed miserably. And about half of them I feel that way. But if you're not doing it that way, if you're not trying, if it's not failing, you're not doing it right. If it's too easy, then everybody would do it. So just keep going.
So I think something that you didn't mention about yourself before you put up, like, what are you good at? So I've had the pleasure of working with Mark a bit, and you are a connector. So I was hoping you would talk about that to people. I think, and I still don't understand how I still work and am friends with a lot of the people that I met through your connection. You can read people crazy well.
Thank
Is there
you.
a secret?
Well, now the secret is my bullshit meter, which was underwater before I lost my wife, is submerged and is never coming back. And I don't have anything to lose by telling people what I think. I don't really give a shit if you like me, right? Leadership's not a popularity contest. Leadership is leading, and sometimes you say things that are unpopular. I just think I think I've gotten pretty good at having had a lot of people in my life. I think I've gotten good at figuring out pretty quickly what's going on, and I think from a connecting perspective, I still do this. I've got an autoresponder up now on one of my emails. I've got too many emails, but I'm down to 2 basically, and I've got an autoresponder up that says, "I'm busy. Don't fucking talk to me," basically. But I do coffees all day, 1 day a month, on a Thursday. And I still do that. And I will take a meeting with anybody, just because I think it's important. I have an obligation to give back to this community. And part of that is bringing people in, bringing them into the network, and then finding them things. So if you're looking for something, there's a good chance I know someone. I'll give you a little weird factoid. I used to work with Pearl Jam. I still do occasionally. I was their fixer. So when their vinyl project that was going into Target was in jeopardy, they brought me in to help them figure out how to fix that problem, and we fixed it, and their vinyl went out. And anyway, I got a phone call from what is effectively the second in command, not the manager, but the chief operating officer of the band. And he goes, would you take a call with the office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama? And I was like, ha, that's really funny. Sure, right? I'll say yes to anything. I didn't think that would ever happen. And the next morning, I had an email in my inbox from the director of digital assets for His Holiness. And for the last, this would be my 10th year, I advise the Dalai Lama on social media strategy. It's so fucking weird, right? Like, and I have an invitation to see him or to go, and I can't go to China because I can't travel through that area of the world because on my socials it says that I work with the Dalai Lama, and he is literally enemy number one of China. Second, maybe. Well, who knows what? They have a lot of enemies. Anyway, so that was all about saying yes. So I say yes to pretty much everything. Now, sometimes I have to say, not now, because I got a ton of shit going on, but I try to say yes to everything, because I always find something in someone that I'm interested in. And so curiosity I think is a hallmark of creatives. Because by our nature, we're interested. And I think pursuing that curiosity is the key to a great life.
Well, that's our time.
Boom.